Friends, we've started another series where we're talking about the keyword disillusionment. We've seen already that this disillusionment is going to be part and parcel of life as long as you are alive. You cannot run away from it. In fact, if you had a focus of running away from disillusionment, you are already starting on a wrong footing. I'm not saying that you should at the same time anticipate to be disillusioned. I'm not saying that you should concentrate on how you can arm yourself against disillusionment. I'm just saying it's part and parcel of life. Even if you have purpose in your life, even if you've discovered purpose in your life, you at one point or another, you're going to face a variant of disillusionment. And so we are talking about that stuff in this new series, and I want us to go deeper and deeper, and later on we will see the various ways you can be able to deal with this disillusionment even as you go on in your life. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Life Signatures episodes are brought to you by africanbooks.com, which is an online ebook platform that seeks to broadcast the African Christian voice to the world. As such, they have become a hub for African content, connecting African writers and publishers with a global reading audience. Publishing your books on their site is free and easy, with authors having full control over their content and the price they choose to sell at it. I was personally blown away by the concept that africanbooks.com is coming up with. Things like no content from their site or their app is going to be run on laptops so that people can easily copy. In other words, your content as a writer is restricted from digital multiplication or digital copying. So you remain intact with your information. And the other concept that I got so blown away with was the fact that in some time to come, in due course, africanbooks.com will be starting to announce African Writer of the Year. In other words, there will be competitions in all African countries to figure out who is the best published author. And I also fell in love with the fact that countries can actually compete against each other. We can have African authors going at it after each other, and your book as an author will be reviewed and have some stars and recommended upon that particular platform. The thing is that it's an answer to Amazon.com. You know, with Amazon, what happens? You've got to have an account in the Americas or whatever, or in Europe before you can get paid as an author. But here, the local currency is in play and the local means of getting paid are in play. So to get started, go to africanbooks.com as an author or as a publisher, and even as a reader if you wanted to read your African favorite authors. Enjoy. I'm sure if you're listening to me and you're above 18, okay, let's say above 10, I am sure you know this guy called Disillusionment. I am so sure you know about him. At some point in time, the first time I ever came across or I ever faced this guy called Disillusionment, I remember it was, I think I'd cleared high school. Yeah, I had cleared high school. And the way the society had been structured, or actually is structured, it is in such a way that you have to be academically adept in order to make it in this life. And so I went to high school as a young boy, and all I did in high school, okay, for the most part, was just to joke around and play around and so on. And maybe I wasn't so serious with my books. I should have gone to high school at an older age. That is my premise, at an older age. But 4 years down the line, I was 17 years of age, I should say, having spent 8 plus 4 years in school, having spent 12 years in school. I started schooling at 5, and I was disillusioned. I knew for sure that I hadn't performed well. The exams you guy. I knew. When you go to an examination and you get out of the examination, you will gauge yourself and you will know. And for the very first time in my life, friends, I was seriously facing the prospect of a bleak future. This is a guy at 17. A bleak future where I knew my parents did not have enough money to take me to a module 2 kind of a university or something like that. They were struggling big time. And I knew that my goose is cooked. Seriously, I had been programmed in the society so much so to believe that without that academic mountain climbing, I am cooked. And I was disillusioned, big time disillusioned. I started developing some skin rashes and just being stressed and depressed at 17 because I was facing the prospect of a bleak future. Yesterday in the episode we say that even when you find purpose, even when you galvanize yourself and you go on a journey to find purpose, you will not still insulate yourself against disillusionment. Why? Because you are still on earth, and purpose itself is a journey. Knowing your purpose is not a guarantee that you will not face setbacks, crises, critics, darkness, failure, discouragement, and disillusionment. It is not, because you are in the process of deploying the purpose. And we know that the purpose, when it comes to purpose, there are 3 things about it. There is the discovering, there is the knowing, the knowing it, the discovering it, that's one thing. Then there is the owning, as in becoming one and becoming one with it. And then there is the deploying, the working it out, the fulfilling it, the expanding your potential. All these things are journeys. There is no acuteness, there is no arriving, that I have arrived at discovering my purpose. The moment you say you've arrived at discovering your purpose, you need to start owning it. You start the journey of owning it. It takes you some time to own it. At some point in time, people now start identifying you with what that purpose is. That means that you've owned it. But then the deploying goes on and on. All these things are journeys. And in the journey of purpose and in the journey of life, as long as you are on a journey, at some point in time, you will face discouragement. You will face disillusionment. And from time to time, you'll find a visionary so stretched that they feel like they are neither doing what is wrong, what is right. They think whatever it is that they are up to doesn't make sense into this world. I don't know about you, but at some point in time, you've been so passionate about something. You've done it. People have actually sometimes recognized that you're on to something. But then at some point in time, it doesn't feel like you are on to something. It doesn't feel like it. In fact, it's not paying back. It's not making sense at all. That's when disillusionment starts to set in. When a visionary starts feeling a tinge of disillusionment, for the most part, they start doubting the path that they are on, the path that they took, that path of purpose. There could even be some results that are coming out of this purpose that they are taking, this path that they are taking. But there are factors that will cause them to start to be hesitant. That's where some disillusionment just sweeps in. Paul the Apostle is in historical books for very many things. He got on a path of purpose and pursued it hard for a whole decade. Hard. But it's a strange thing when you read his story in the book of Acts in the Bible. He had to retreat and set off back to Jerusalem where the whole thing started, to confer with the guys there at the HQ, let's say headquarters. To confer with the guys like Peter and James. And according to him, he tells us, I wanted to be sure that I was not running and had not been running my race in vain. That is Paul, 10 years down the line, after seeing results in his purpose pursuit. He's seen results. There's another guy that you read, maybe I'm going ahead of myself, there's another guy called John the Baptist. John the Baptist, one day he says, behold the Lamb that takes away the sins of men. He points the crowd to Jesus. And some disciples of John the Baptist, they leave him. Few weeks or few months, I can't remember, or I don't know how long it took, John the Baptist finds himself in prison. Then he sends word to the same guy that says he pointed the crowds to and said, this is your Messiah. He sends word to that Messiah and says, are you the one, or we should wait for another? Are you getting what I'm saying here? That even these big time visionaries, they get to doubt at some point in time, is this it? Is this the right thing? It sets in. Like I said yesterday, as long as it is a journey, you're going to get disillusioned. Paul said, I wanted to know if I'm on the right track. John the Baptist said, are you really the one? See, Paul was a smart man. The doubts that had set in, he had acted on them immediately. And you can see that even the man called by God himself, you can see that even the guy called by God himself and given mouth to ear, as in God spoke to this man's ear. God, the maker of heaven and earth, spoke to this man's ear and gave him a calling. At some point, this same guy was susceptible to being disillusioned. It tells you that all of us can feel this disillusionment in our lives from time to time. And when it does happen to you, listen to me, don't consider it as a strange thing, as if something strange is happening to you. It is part and parcel of our lives. So we're going to start talking about what causes disillusionment in the next episode, and even as we go deeper into this. But later on we'll start seeing how we can be able to handle the disillusionment. So for today, what I'm communicating is this: the clarity of passion and the clarity of purpose is not a promise that you will not face disillusionment. Even those guys who have been called by God themselves, God himself, they did face some disillusionment from time to time. I don't know whom it is that I'm speaking to today. Probably you're feeling that spirit of disillusionment hanging around you. You need to ask yourself, what is this disillusionment really after? The long and short is this: it is after your purpose. That you will doubt it and you will stop pursuing it. Very many have done that, but then they have looked on 5 years and 3 years down the line and they have been like, wait a minute, I was on to something 5 years ago. I should have continued. That's the exact reason as to why I'm sharing with you this episode, so that you will continue even when you feel discouraged and disillusioned. Tomorrow we go deeper. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.